Are we witnessing the slow torture and ultimate murder of democracy? This is the Snowstorm. Hi, I'm Nicholas Snow. This is the Snowstorm for January 24th, 2024. And for those who are tuning in, you know that the Snowstorm is my new nightly broadcast. And the central focus, the reason I'm doing this in 2024, starting from January 1st, is because we need to save democracy. We need to save democracy. And I don't have a guest tonight by design, and I'm going to explain that to you. There is a reason why I won't always have guests in advance, and there are some reasons why I don't always have guests. I do have very interesting guests coming up, and that will be the case throughout the year as this platform expands. But right now, at this very moment, this broadcast is going out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram Live, on YouTube, and embedded at the website PromoHomo.TV. And within minutes of the conclusion of this broadcast, the audio will be going to Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible, which is part of Amazon. So the conversation is extending far and wide. It's very important, and I'm going to be back with more after this. PromoHomo.TV is all about empowering you, our communities, and our world. Shouting out to my media partners. Pink Media, amplifying PromoHomo.TV across the Twitterverse with their #ILoveGay campaign. GayDesertGuide.lgbt. And KGay 1065 Palm Springs, available worldwide. Ask your smart speaker to play KGAY. It's as simple as this. We will save our democracy in 2024, or we will watch the United States implode. I'm Nicholas Snow, and this crisis we face is why I have launched the Snowstorm, a nightly hot topics panel discussion show in which I will curate your social media comments into the show, and we will connect the conversation to action we can take to save America.
Watch the Snowstorm nightly at 6 p.m. Pacific at PromoHomo.TV.
So if you're paying attention, you know that yesterday was the New Hampshire primary, and I've got a few things to say about that. In the meantime, I want you to know that if you are watching live and you have a question or comment that you would like to put on the screen, that you would like me to consider putting on the screen, please comment in your social media, and I will do that when and if appropriate. And by appropriate, I mean, not unsuitable for certain members of any audience. I'm going to be fairly liberal on the types of comments I curate. And even if I don't put them on the screen, they'll appear in social media. I also want to remind you that if you want to support this program, you can do so for as little as $3 a month. I've worked a 9-hour day in another job to come and be here with you tonight. And it's my goal by the end of 2024 that this is my full-time job. And if a couple thousand of you sign up at $3 a month, I can do that. And I want to thank people that actually do support me, and some for a lot more than $3 a month. Bill Lavey has doubled his support of PromoHomo.TV, earning him the production assistant title. And Robert Carl and also ClubPride.org are the most recent Pride paraders. Not on the screen. One of my associate producers now is Rock May, and he's my devoted friend. And I bet you that, yes, this comment is from him. We are here. Omni hugs. Rock May, thank you for that. And the fact that you're watching me on YouTube, it makes me wonder if there's once again something wrong with getting this to Facebook. Had a technical problem last night. My show did not go over to Facebook. I don't know why. So I want to ask all of you that if you're watching this live or after the fact, if you're watching this live or after the fact, there's two things I invite you to do. Number one, I would like, if you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, please share this to any group in those environments that you are a member of where political content would be an appropriate share. Please do that because through you, I can reach many more groups than I can on my own. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you are watching on X or Twitter, please retweet and share because I want people to know about this show. If you are watching now at any point in time, please answer these questions in the comments. Do you believe democracy needs saving? And if so, what are you doing about? What are you doing about it? Do you believe democracy needs saving? And if so, what are you doing about it? And Rock is watching on YouTube again because there's something about his inability to reshare on Facebook. Wherever you get your PromoHomo.TV is fine with me. So that's the question that I want you to answer at any point during the broadcast. Whenever you see it, I'll come and interact with your comments. And if you comment when I'm live, I will perhaps show them to you. So I shared a teaser. Last night I did an encore presentation of a women's march that happened just over 5 years ago. And one of the things I commented about when I shared the broadcast is that, you know, we were doing major protesting 5 years ago for women's rights, for migrant rights, for the rights of Black and brown people, focusing on the fact that Black Lives Matter. There's so many things we've been doing that we've been fighting for trans rights. We've been fighting for all this for a long time. And in spite of our advocacy, look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. And what kind of horrifies me is the number of people that are asked the question, would you support Donald Trump and do you still think he's fit for president if he's convicted of a crime? And in Iowa, 2/3 of Republicans said he would be fine for president. And in New Hampshire, 50% of Republicans said that he would be fine as president. Don't you know, folks, that he has been convicted in civil trial of sexual assault? He is convicted of sexual assault? Don't you know that? Why do you think that someone that commits sexual assault is suitable to be president of the United States? That's just one. That's just one. So, at any rate, I shared information about this broadcast to a Facebook group, and this person named Cliff responded with a comment. Just want to make sure I'm referring to the right post. This was in response to that Women's March episode. I shared it broadly. But this person named Cliff on Facebook commented in the Gay Men of Palm Springs, California Facebook group to my post, if only DeSantis was still in the race, him I'd vote for. I just want a stable market, which the Dems are not giving us, note the high gas prices. And so I keep waiting until midnight twice a week when the prices dip down a bit, then I speed over to the gas station for a fill-up. So I responded to him and I said, so his assault on the LGBTQ plus community would not prevent you from voting for him? And we're talking about Ron DeSantis. And someone else responded to this guy, freedom from a dictator is much more important than gas prices. Get an electric car. I did. Now I have freedom from these high gas prices. At which point Cliff chimes in again and he says, that I am considering, the car thing. I don't see any candidate as being a dictator. That's a description used by those watching on and not agreeing with everything they say or do. So if this man, I'm actually, I don't know their gender identification, but they present as male and have a mustache and a beard, and I'm not taking him too seriously because his last name on Facebook is FB account. That's his last name on Facebook, FB account. So he's not even sharing his true identity as he's putting out these really absurd views into social media. For all I know, he's a very nice guy. I don't know him personally, but I see his public commentary. I see that he would have supported DeSantis had he been given the opportunity to do so. I'm assuming he identifies as a member of the LGBTQ plus community because of the group he's a member of, that he's following, that he's commenting in. And he's completely missing the fact that Donald Trump himself said that he will be a dictator on day one. He will be a dictator on day one. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm freaked out, among many. So my good friend Aaron Terry, I'm just going to take this question off the screen so I can show off the other comments. My good friend Aaron Terry says, yes, democracy is at risk, and I'm connecting with other LGBTQIA PK seniors aging solo to let our voices be heard, and I share your broadcast with everyone who will listen. That brings me joy. And also, Aaron, aka Elk Whistle, I want to confess my ignorance about something on the air and ask you to let me know what the PK stands for in the LGBTQIA PK. Actually, why don't, for everyone, you spell out in a comment the entire meaning of LGBTQIA PK? We will all have a learning moment. And my good friend Deanne Hopings is watching. She says, yes, democracy is under attack. Trump, sexual assault and fraud. DeSantis is an idiot. As a black person, he cannot have my history. He seems to ignore the fact that the destruction of Rosewood happened in his state. He cannot revise and ignore history. Well stated, Deanne. And that brings me to another topic that I've been discussing on my show about whether or not we live in a racist country. You have these leading Republicans that say that we don't live in a racist country. By the way, John Lindner is watching over on Instagram Live. John, it's a much better viewing experience on the other platforms, but I'm happy to have you on Instagram. I cannot put his remark onto the screen from Instagram Live, but he says that Cliff is an idiot because the Dow just hit an all-time high, and that's a good point that I didn't state out loud. So just to remind all of you at home, the question I want you to respond with is, do you believe democracy needs saving? If so, what are you doing about it? And we'll have that and more of the snowstorm coming up after this. And pay attention to this, by the way. You know what? I just got this in the mail today. The California state primary election is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. If you didn't get this in the mail today and you're living in California, are you registered to vote? Is your registration current? A lot depends on it. this particular shirt is the crux of the Hopeful Sexual campaign, and it is designed to inspire authentic human connection while simultaneously combating sexuality-based shame and stigma. And the really cool thing is, if you go to hopefulsexual.com, it takes you to an Amazon store where this shirt is available in all sorts of styles, sizes, and colors. And I use the revenue to fund PromoHomo.TV. So check it out. I think almost everyone is a hopeful sexual, don't you? Welcome back. This is the Snowstorm, where I'm asking the question, do you think democracy is at stake? And if so, what are you doing about it? I also asked my good buddy Elk Whistle, aka Aaron Terry, to let me know and let you know what all of the letters mean. And I actually learned that there are more letters that apply to me than I realize. There are more letters that apply to me than I realize. So let me put the answer up here. LGBTQ/lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And the IAKP is intersex, asexual. I knew about that. I was unsure what the K was, and I know about pansexual, but I just didn't connect the dot that that's what the P meant in that particular line of letters. So I'm coming out not necessarily as kinky by practice, but I'm definitely aspiring to be kinky. So that's the new letter that I realize assigns to me. So Rock says this goes back to joy, not the kinky part. Nitpicking to fit what they want instead of looking at the big picture. This is selfish and an easy path that Republicans use to change the vote and change the voice of your heart. So one of my most popular guests in the month so far has been Joy Silver, who is the head of the Riverside County Democratic Party. And she is talking about how our enemies try to use our emotional differences to divide us. And they distract us. So they might throw out things about the age of the candidates or the economy or whatever. But the reality is that we can vote for Biden, and he can win, or we can never vote again in a true democratic and free process, because we know what Trump has already stated he will do when he gets into office. And of course, Rock is a proud pansexual. You know, I always think of like a fabulous breakfast when I hear the word pan, like a skillet, but I do understand that that's not what pansexual means. So in a future episode, I'm going to be bringing people on who can talk specifically to the California state primary, but keep in mind that my show is open to people from out the United States and throughout the world who are somehow involved in saving democracy or involved in some sort of fight for a cause that is connected to whether or not we maintain and secure civil liberties for all. So I'm going to, in lieu of that, I want to show you a screen because I'd like everyone who's watching this to know how you can easily submit guest ideas to my show. So what you want to do is you simply want to go to PromoHomo.TV, the website, PromoHomo.TV. I'm going to make it big for you. The website is what I'm going to make big for you. And when you go to the site in whatever browser you're on, one of the menu items is pitching guests. And you just go to the pitching guests, and it tells you all about the different series that I produce and how you can pitch stories. So I encourage you, if you have people that you think would be great for the show, who would be perfect on discussing how we can save democracy, then I encourage you to have them go to PromoHomo.TV as instructed, where you can also find all of the recent broadcasts. So I'm going to keep showing up every night. And what I've done about 20% of the time is when I'm not physically available to be on the show live, I do an encore broadcast of something that has never reached my broad audience, because in my early online broadcasting, a lot of what I was doing was strictly in Facebook Live. So I'm post-producing this historic content, and I'm putting it out again across all of the PromoHomo.TV platforms. And if also accessible in audio form, if it's relevant, if someone's simply listening to it, then I put it out in podcast form. And speaking of accessibility, anybody who watches my videos across social media that needs subtitles is already aware of how to access those subtitles on whatever platform in which they are accessing the show. I want to ask my audience if you have any more final remarks for this broadcast. They don't have to be related to these questions, but whenever you see this broadcast, please comment in the comments, do you believe democracy needs saving? If so, what are you doing about it? So please definitely comment on that, because I'll use this as a way of finding guests for the show as well, people who interact with me in this capacity. I want to remind you that you can support the program for as little as $3 a month. And if you do, by the way, at the $3 level, the third month of your support, you'll get a brown envelope like this, and in it will be this fabulous sticker. And this sticker pops out of the white background, so the actual logo pops. And I have found that this particular sticker is very bright on your car, even in the hot, sunny weather, for quite a while. And that's what you get at the $3 a month level. The higher you give, the more perks there are. I give you a shout out if you come on board at the $3 level. If you come on at $10 or more, you get put in the opening credits. I always encourage you to to stick around so you can watch those closing credits, which are coming up soon. So, Deanne, you are welcome to come on my show, Deanne. I think you would make a fantastic guest. So just private message me on Facebook, Deanne, and we'll make that happen. So this is this is good. Deanne says, I'd like to have Nikki Haley explain to me that the U.S. is not a race, that if the U.S. country is not a racist country, why did we have slavery? Why did Jim Crow exist? Why were black people subjected to the Tuskegee syphilis study, the destruction of the Greenwood neighborhood in Tulsa, Rosewood, Florida, the death of James Byrd Jr. from being dragged behind a truck, and the murder of George Floyd, hiring and job description, the denial of minority access to home mortgages by redlining, and many, many more events. Yes. Why? It's like I've had people who I respect on my show. I'm thinking of one person in particular, and he is a proud black man, a same gender loving black man. And he doesn't give a yes or no answer to the question, do we live in a racist country? Because he doesn't believe all people are racist, and he doesn't want to give that impression. And on the surface, my impression is that's why he's not giving me a yes answer. Maybe in his mind, there is no way of giving that question a yes answer. I respect that. I need to live with it. I was speaking to someone else, and he is also he's Asian, and he also didn't agree with the statement that we live in a racist country. But here's my take on it. We live in a country where, from what I've learned as an aspiring ally, there isn't a day when a black or brown person can go out into the world and not be judged by the color of their skin. There isn't a day that can go by where, in almost every situation, a white person doesn't automatically have more credibility assigned to them in almost any given situation. We also live in a country that, if it were not a racist country, then we would not allow such high profile racism taking place in every aspect of our society all the time. And then, of course, look at gerrymandering to suppress minority votes. Look at the tremendous assault on trans lives, at which trans people of color are even more severely harmed by the lack of being able to go out freely and comfortably. There's an amazing survey happening right now statewide in California where people, LGBTQ plus identified people over the age of 55 can respond to the survey. And let me just find it on my front page here over at PromoHomo.TV because it's a recent episode, fairly recent. Oh, here it is. So I'm going to make the screen big again. So right now, when you go to PromoHomo.TV, you can find an historic survey of midlife and older LGBTQIA plus citizens underway in California. And when you click on it, there is all the news about the survey and why it's important. And there is also a link to the survey. And I'm actually going to paste a link to the survey information in the comments right now across social media. But the reason that I brought that up, and I'm just going to conclude with this and then show any last comments. The reason I brought that up is because one of the questions that was asked was, well, there were two questions. One of them was, how safe do you feel like it is in your community for gay and lesbian people to go out in the community? And my answer to that was whatever it was. I answered positively to that. In the city of Palm Springs, for the most part, I feel quite safe as a white gay man going around Palm Springs. But then it said, how safe do you think it is in your community for trans and non-binary people to go out and about? And in my experience as an aspiring ally, I don't know anybody that can answer yes to that question. If there are trans and non-binary people who feel that they are safe in any community in the United States, going about their daily lives randomly to the grocery store, the gym, the doctor, wherever, if there is a community where trans and non-binary people feel safe in their everyday existence, I would like to know about it. Because my understanding is those places do not exist. And that's why we have so much work to do. So thank you so much for watching. Rock did say that one reason the past should never be erased and saved and learned from, responding to Deanne's very thought out remark. I appreciate all of you dropping into the show tonight. It was only me, and I went beyond a half an hour, which I try not to do. Even when I have guests on, I try to be have a tight show. But hopefully every moment of this show was of value. I know that I value you. I appreciate that you've tuned in. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to go have some dinner. And I will see you tomorrow night, Thursday. And I know on Friday, I have Robert Carl and Wyatt coming on the show to talk politics and all sorts of exciting shows coming up. You're discovering my guest along with me. It's an ongoing, evolving process. But by the time November rolls around, you can bet the snowstorm will be a blizzard of global proportions. I'll see you tomorrow night.
In a safe place, I got room to breathe. Been a long chase, but at last I'm free. These open woods, I knew I could find peace here. Nothing like the city where I got tired of the running, the catching up. I got hungry for the stunning high mountain top.